now recording.
There we go.
Alright. Well, if everyone's ready, then here we go.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick. Today we have a special guest, Dr. Nick. Okay, welcome to another episode of Verbal Laxative. Today we have me, Jason. We also have Brian and Zinzin.
Hello.
Hello.
And no Dr. Nick.
Wait, when you said hi everybody, I thought that was going to be the Christmas poo. Thank you, the Christmas poo. Isn't that what he says too?
I
Get
think
out. Get the fuck
so.
out. Get out. What is this? Are you just
He says
seriously
howdy ho. I don't know if he says hey everybody. It's like
Okay.
howdy ho or Heidi ho or something like that.
Ideal. That might be it then. Okay, alright. Continue.
apology accepted.
All right, now to actually get on topic, because we got a lot to go through today.
This is kind of embarrassing. We have no topics.
So many things to go through.
This is gonna be another filler episode.
All right, I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
I don't know,
Sanford's done.
since we're not based on manga, I don't think there's such thing as a filler episode.
Are you bringing up manga? So to bring up what happened?
No, I haven't read any mangas lately.
Oh,
Anyways,
the author of Berserk died.
Oh yeah, that was a thing. That's a thing.
Who died? Berserk?
Yeah, the guy who
Damn.
does
The
Berserk.
protagonist?
No, the
Oh, the-
fucking
The
writer.
actual, yeah.
Oh.
The mangaka.
Damn. So
It's never going
Is
to
he
be
gonna do-
finished now. It will
You don't
never
think
be
he-
finished.
you don't think he set it up to be similar to like the guy from Wheel of Time? Pass it to the Sandberg?
I
No.
think he might have had
Sandberg?
people he was teaching and stuff, like students who might be able to do it.
Dude,
I don't know. I don't know the details.
Brandon Sandberg.
It doesn't have to be Brandon Sandberg. It could be any Sandberg.
It's a Sanderson, man. He got some.
Oh, the Sanderson.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god, it's like Adam Sandberg writing this book now.
Adam Sandler?
Sandberg. It's the other version, the more novelized version.
I don't know. Adam Sandler's made a lot of good movies out there,
Yeah, I know.
and then a lot of bad ones.
Well, his
I like,
parody clone Adam Sandberg will be the exact same with novels.
That just makes
His
me
recent
think
movie was pretty good though.
Andy
Gem Cutter?
Sandberg.
Andy Sandler. Go
We're
ahead.
all over the place with names right now.
Brian's fault. I 100% blame on him. Anyways, yeah, this is our first episode together after we've all injected the microchips via the COVID vaccine.
So
You know, the
once we
youngins-
get it done, we'll get 5G.
Yeah, courtesy of
Yeah.
the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Rest in peace, that marriage.
Yes. A lot of things
People were
ending.
shocked.
Rip in the
I was
pepperonis.
shocked.
I did not care either way, but I wonder
mean,
how
they're-
much money she's gonna get.
Their divorce was pretty nice though, right? Because they probably had enough mansions for them both to live comfortably.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
separate-
They each will get multiple houses and
Yeah.
everything.
yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. And it's, I guess, yeah, she'll be like the Bezos fucking lottery. But I guess she's done, at least. She actually co-runs the foundation or something, so
Well, they did
So
say they'll
here-
still continue to work on the foundation together.
I see.
So for the Basil lottery, so is the idea is to like marry him and divorce him?
Yes, first pioneered by
Hopefully without a prenup.
first pioneered by Kevin Federline. This technique in life.
Yes, the good old Britney Spears money.
Bezos was the big score. and everything else after that is kind of it can't reach. It won't surpass that in our lifetime. Well, no, maybe no, I don't know. It won't surpass that at least within the next 10 years. But within our lifetime, maybe you'll see another one to take the Bezos divorce prize.
I'll set my sights low and just go for thousands of dollars instead of, billions.
So you're gonna marry like a car salesman and divorce him first, just to test out the waters.
Well, hopefully that means I also get at least a car.
You would hope, wouldn't you?
I
Yeah.
would.
I mean, like,
I got nothing else going for me right now.
oh, realistically, I think while you're married to the car salesman, you will buy a car using his discount. I'm assuming it's a him. But then after the
Preferences, I would
divorce,
prefer a girl,
all
but
right,
I'm not
doesn't
gonna
matter.
judge people that want to
How
go
dare
with a
you?
guy.
How dare you just declare someone's gender? Anyways,
You're the one that declared his gender. What?
hey
Okay,
man,
go on.
hey man. Okay, so yeah. So then let's say you buy you finance the car using his discount or whatever. You divorce, you're still gonna be paying that car off, I think, but it will give you the experience to aim higher, and the next one will be, and eventually you'll make your way up to Bezos.
Well, I'm hoping that if he's a car salesman, that he's already either got at least one car, so that way I could just kind of take that instead of buying one, because I don't want to buy a car, because why do that when I can just try to get either money or possessions of his after the divorce?
What makes you sign something so all you get is like this like shitty 1995 Honda Civic?
That's why, at the minimum, the prerequisite to this whole thing would be that the marriage would have to be without a prenup,
Okay,
because
okay.
I want to get away with something at
Of
least.
course, of course. That's and the
That's the
whole
whole plan.
well, the whole technique will behind that will be to convince your spouse to not sign the prenup. Or no, to convince your spouse not to get you to sign the prenup.
No talk of prenup at all would be ideal.
Or you
I
ain't
need to
getting
get away
this.
with this smoothly.
If I sign a prenup, you're not getting this ass.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, how is the court gonna look at this case?
Exactly like that.
Well, the thing is, court is designed to not have too many struggling single moms, so it's not in your favor.
That's why I said car salesman. See, this is big picture shit.
Well, while you're correct that these the judges and everything would give more, uh, or they would favor a single mom kind of situation. In this case specifically, it seems like it would be two men. So hopefully it would be
Yeah,
at
Brian.
least
See,
equal.
we've avoided that difficulty. We've avoided
But
that
if
obstacle.
you're, but even in the same-sex marriage or relationship, there's always one that's the male figure or the dominant figure, right? So
I don't know. The court
Why
doesn't give
why
a
do
shit about that.
why
The
do you
court
have to be
doesn't.
there?
The court doesn't care who's the small spoon.
Yeah, like so who's the bottom here?
The legally,
who wears the pants in the relationship, as they would say?
you know how they have to define all the legal terms, right?
Okay, so who's the man and who's the woman in this? Courts
Bottom,
aren't up to date on this whole equality thing yet.
bottom, defined as the individual who receives and or
Who's the pitcher and who's the catcher?
gets their fudge packed, as defined in the court of law. Yeah, don't worry about that. You will be. I think small spoon will be better for your case.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
Well, I
aim
mean,
for small
in this
spoon.
situation, I would be targeting someone who, of course, is making all the money and everything.
Yeah,
So
and
I would want to be the one that the judges favor.
yes, exactly. Hopefully, you find someone with like a small dick, so then your asshole doesn't get destroyed. While you're doing
Hopefully, I
this,
could divorce him before it comes to that.
I think he's gonna have to put it in to get married to
The
you.
judges aren't going to check that. That's a requirement for a divorce.
You wanna make sure
If you didn't consummate the marriage, then it's not a marriage yet.
yeah, they do it the old school way where they just check they check you if you're bleeding or not.
There's no hymen back there, so that'll check out at
If there was
least.
like a medieval gay society, they would have to go. That's what the techniques that they're gonna have to use to check you. Unfortunately,
no.
in this case, there is no medieval gay society.
There's
There's
been
no.
no terrorage here. Like, Jesus. I'd be aiming for more than thousands in that case, hopefully millions.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, good luck finding a car salesman that'll be worth millions at that time.
He'd have to, like, be, I don't know, descendant of Ford or something.
All
Are they
right.
still rich, the family?
What
Like
family?
the Ford family?
I imagine so. Yes.
I wonder how much money they get.
I think they just get a lot of money. I wait, isn't like one of their descendants still on one of like the boards
I have no idea. I don't even know if their bloodline's still alive.
at Ford?
It hasn't been that long, so you would hope so.
It's not like it's you're like taking down the monarchy. You gotta kill all the family at the shareholders meeting. They lock the doors.
Oh man, it's gonna be quite a day whenever the queen is no longer with us.
Yeah, she's gonna be here for a while. That's why they give her, virgin sacrifice every year.
Oh, that's what that's for.
Hmm.
What about all goats?
Goats are for lesser houses. The House of Windsor, I
Yes.
think, requires a human sacrifice.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look at them there. They need it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like Philip was supposed to die like 60 years ago, but the human sacrifices has extended his life past his mortality.
So why do the people always sacrifice goats anyways? Is there something special about goats?
I think they just
Greatest of all time.
yeah.
Oh, that does make sense actually.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Question has been answered.
Because they were the goat. The goat came first before the goat. You feel me?
That is true.
So, and their eyes are basically square. So why wouldn't you sacrifice something like that?
They do have
A lot
pretty
of,
eyes.
or like, not a lot of animals, but a lot of different species of herbivores like that evolved to have that for looking out for predators and stuff.
They want to just look at everything like through panoramic lens.
It would be kind of cool to see how different animals see things, like live a day with that kind of vision.
I think the best would be like a hawk, and then the worst would be like an earthworm.
Earthworms even have eyes.
You can simulate an earthworm right now if you take out your eyes.
Or you just close your eyes, and then maybe not go to that extreme.
The earthworm doesn't
check
have
them out.
eyelids. This is not correct.
I just need a simulation. I don't need the real experience.
You pop them back in after you're done. If
It's not quite that. They're not plug and play.
Hey man, are you telling me like Naruto was just completely just fucking out of their minds? Why, like fucking it's that the anatomy's not true. You could take out your eye and pop it back in just like I don't even know.
And that dude that has like the 7 eyes in his arm or whatever.
there's no even like an anatomical equivalent either. Like popping your shoulder, pop it back. I don't even know. I don't even know. But yeah, fuck. You're telling me it's not like that. You can't just pop out your eye, pop it back in.
I really wish
Switch
it was.
around, trade with your friend, give their
But in
eyes a
Naruto,
go.
they have like the healing with chakra and stuff, right? Would that just explain that at all?
No, it's basically just a plug and play.
Okay.
All the eyes behind it is all by USB, so that's why you can just pop it and put it back in.
And of course, you gotta try 3 times because the first 2 times you don't plug it in. Right?
Yeah, you got it upside down. You're like, shit.
Then you flip it around, it still doesn't fit. So it's like, it's upside down again.
Fuck. I need that the universal eye fucking socket.
Yeah, you need the USB-C type I.
Oh man, how are we gonna transition this to the fucking Israel Palestine talk?
Um, I, I. I don't even know what's going on with that whole situation.
Do you
Has
know Netanyahu?
I know of Yahoo, the website.
But do you know Netanyahu?
Netanyahu.
BB for short.
No.
Not
He seems important.
not
I hear
joking.
name a
His
lot
his
in the
nickname
news.
is BB.
Is it?
Oh yeah,
What's it stand for?
Benjamin.
There's only one B.
I don't know. Bastard.
Okay.
So is Netanyahu a bad guy? Is he
Is
corrupted?
he a bad guy?
Or is he just another politician?
I don't know.
He's trying.
All of the above. I don't know.
So is there been something recent that made this conflict escalate? Because hasn't this been going on for a long time?
I guess you know what. I guess this will be this. I guess this wouldn't be a filler episode. This would be a This would be a canon episode. I guess we're gonna talk about
To me, everything's
once-
This
filler.
is a social study episode.
yeah, a mainstream episode.
I
But we
take
didn't
them
really-
all as mainstream. There's no storyline.
I take it all as filler. There's no storyline.
Yeah, it's either or.
All right. Yeah, so like when I was in high school, we heard about the Palestinians and the conflict between Israel,
Yeah.
but like nothing really happened. Like we hear like there's strong military, like, and how the Israel's land got increasingly more when the Palestinians attacked them and stuff, and they claim more land, I guess. Than I
Yeah,
guess
you know what?
current-
Hasn't this been going on for thousands of years?
On the bigger
What's
picture,
changed?
I guess
Can't
no.
be
Okay,
thousands of years.
No, you know,
It
the
started
current one-
because of World War One, right? Oh, World
no,
War II, right?
sort of. 'Cause it started since Israel was created. The current one is 1947, but Jerusalem itself has always been like struggled
Holy
against.
place.
It's been there's
Oh.
been a lot of struggle in it, for
And
Jerusalem. But
how
the
did
current one
Israel
is,
claim it then?
huh?
They just-
Oh
how
yeah,
did Israel-
that's a story. That's one story arc, isn't it? I guess okay. So Netanyahu, I guess, would be, yeah. If you were ever gonna have like someone close to a villain, he would be probably closest to a villain. Everyone else, he could, well, him included, you could say like, oh yeah, they do it for like selfish reasons, but this is selfish reasons, but also, I mean, I don't know. He's also a dick too. But I mean, like, this has been going on before Netanyahu existed too, so you can't blame it all on him. But
It's not his fault.
well, it is his fault, but then it's always been there before him too. He's a product of the entire thing. That's
Oh, I see.
if you see it that way, like of course it's his fault. It's not 100. It's not like if you take away Netanyahu, everything stops. It would still be going on, but he's one of the main champions of this current fuck up, right? So that's you gotta see it like that. But the Israel story arc is one that will make you go like, huh? What the fuck? And then also you'll be like, wow, that's like that's fucked up. Basically, you guys see that video of that fat guy from like Brooklyn or whatever, New York, that went viral, where he basically came to take the house of that Palestinian family, and they're like, Yaqub, what, you can't just come and steal your house and then steal my house. And the Palestinian lady said, and then the fat Jewish guy was like, go on, if I don't steal it, someone else will steal it, right?
Okay.
That's
I don't think I've
basically
seen that.
that's basically
It's a pretty viral video.
yeah. Well, that in a way, that's kind of like what's happened. What happened in that area. So okay. So what happened is if you, no matter, depending on who you talk to, they'll say like they might say, oh, this is happening because of either 1947 or even before that, or even hundreds of years before that, or if some Jews will, if some Israelis will just say that, oh, this is happening thousands of years before then,
Wait,
right?
is it wrong to call them Jews, or is it more proper to call them Israeli?
Well, Israeli,
This,
yeah, well, yeah. The distinction is Israel is a Jewish state, right? But not
okay,
all Jews are Israelis, so that's the distinction, right?
they're
Most
not.
like, well, no, not all Jews are Israeli. You got Jews that aren't Israeli citizens, or
Yeah, you got them in Brooklyn and stuff too.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
But Israel is a state founded
No,
on being a Jewish
is it
state.
like a mainlander and a Hong Konger and a CBC kind of thing?
Not
Kind of
really,
distinction.
because technically everything's supposed to belong under China, right? But not all
Yeah, right.
Jews, are going to belong under Israel. Yeah, if you think of it this way, it's like Chinese people, but like think of it as like Chinese Malaysians or Chinese Singaporeans or Chinese, like immigrated Chinese, right? Yeah, yeah. In a way that like
Mm.
you're not from the People's Republic of China, but you can be like ethnically Chinese. That's the way
Oh,
to
okay.
look at it. You
Okay.
know,
Okay. Got it. All right. So Israelis. Yeah.
Israelis. So, but the I guess the one that makes the most sense will be, and the one that's probably closer to being direct with everything that's happening is from 1947. So, during World War II, there was Hitler, the Nazis, and they basically just melted like 6 million Jews, right? Like from the Holocaust, they killed a whole bunch of Jews in Europe, right?
Correct.
But so, and then after World War II, there was there wa- there was an idea. There was an idea that the Jews should have their own country, right? And this idea
Why not?
predated World War II. This was like they call it. It was called like like I don't know, the Zionist movement. Basically, some people wanted to have like an Israeli state in the ancestral land that they viewed around that area. So
Hold on.
like Jerusalem.
So before they had a country, where did they come from? Like,
The Jews kind of like the Jews in their history, they don't really have a country back then. Like they're kind of, as a people, they've been like they've just been like going from place to place, either getting kicked out of other places or what. They're basically like Ronin people, right? Like they just had nowhere to call a country. So
how
it's
come?
just,
How come they get their own country, but Aboriginals get the big boot?
it's a good question, and a part of it is because, as I was alluding to, World War II happened, right, and then a whole bunch of Jews got massacred, and
Right.
so then after that there was a big like push, and there was like a big wave of sympathy to like to look at this and be like, hey, we should give the like I mean like the world, like the United States and most of the Western countries, and they were looking at, okay, let's look at giving these guys a country, right?
Like
And
as reparation.
in a way, not really, because it's not like these guys were the ones persecuting the Jews, right? It's not like they
Yeah.
carved out a piece of Germany and gave it to the Jews. But that's also
I
like
think
all
that
of
would make
these,
more
all of
sense.
yeah, it would, but all of these things are very contentious, and yeah, we're gonna go back to that. Like that would have made more sense, but for whatever reason, they chose they chose a land and a people that had nothing to do with the Holocaust, and they basically partitioned land to put the Jews there and also to create the state of Israel there, and that land was Palestine at that time. It was under the British mandate of it was kind of like under the British colonial rule. So at the time it was called British Palestine, which is where Israel Palestine is right now. But
Oh, I just
there was no Israel at the time. But at 47 and leading up to it, they basically came to an arrangement to basically partition out an Israel from the land of
Aren't,
Palestine.
isn't this story similar to India and Pakistan, where they created conflict between two people that didn't have conflict before because of
Yes, in
partition?
a way, yeah, yeah. In a way, it's like that. In a way, it is like that. But it's a lot. This one is a lot more hands-on because India and Pakistan at the end, um, it's not like the British forced it on them. Like the Indians themselves kind of wanted something like that as well. Like Nehru, right? Like Nehru, the Indian first Indian prime minister, and his and a bunch of cohorts just kind of like said, okay, yeah, let's partition it, India into India and Pakistan. There was nobody in Palestine that actually wanted this. Um, and it was more like a hands-on direct thing from Britain and the United States to say like, we're gonna partition this land out for Israel, and they chose this land in particular because, according to like the Israel, like the Jewish, I don't know what's the term to call it, lore. I don't know, but basically to Jewish like lore or how, I don't fucking know. I is there a better term for it? I don't want to get in
Well,
trouble just
here's
in
my
case.
confusion. So,
But
like,
anyways,
you're saying,
from the lore, they're basically like around that area is like one of their ancestral homelands. So that's why they picked that kind of around there is Jerusalem and around that area where Israel is right now.
when they call ancestral, they're talking about like pagan ancestral,
Well,
or is it
it's
like
a
more
long time ago.
religious?
Think about like Bible times, right? Like when Jesus was
Oh, I
alive.
see.
Like the Jews,
Right.
or the Jews or the ancestors of the Jews were around in that area, and then through a bunch of like shit happened. Like even the Romans kicked them out first from that land, and then they kicked them out again, and then after that the Arabs came and conquered that land.
Mm,
It's a lot of history in there. There's a lot of switching of hands, but Jerusalem is just a hot spot because all of the Abrahamic religions, all subsets of the Abrahamic religion, so Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, have Jerusalem as like a holy place in their lores,
Oh,
in
it's
their
known as the
respective
Holy
lores.
Land.
Yeah, that area is to them literally the holy land, right? So there's always been like groups of people that would fight each other for that place, and the Israelis or and their ancestors that were from there, that would be included in there. Like lots of people got displaced, lots throughout that history, right? Um,
oh, they must have thought this was a good idea then.
yeah,
So, like,
they thought it was a fucking good idea. Like the Americans, British, and the Zionists, the pioneering Zionist Israelis that created that country. Oh yeah, they thought it was fucking fantastic. They thought this was like fucking good shit. The day Israel was made, basically all the Arab states around that area just declared war on them. Day one, frame one, right? So at the time it'll be something like Egypt, Jordan,
so
Syria,
they
like
were like born in war.
yeah,
Israel was born in war.
carved out of war. Like the Israelis will always say like, yeah, the country is born out of war. We need to, basically just kill more people to stay alive. That's what they get it from. That from day one when Israel was made, yeah, they it was made from war. But lots of countries day one when they were made from war. Through history, like America itself was declared through war, right? Current People's Republic of China was made through war. I mean, so
Yeah, they were born from war, but like this one, they're constantly at war.
here is
But continue.
I guess the fast way to explain how they even came out of this was through because of their like this not unusual support. It's not normal support for like world powers to support a creation of a country and then basically to stick with them, right? Like from day one, Israel was made. Arab states around it declared war against them, but they had a tremendous help from basically the United States, Britain, Western powers, for them to stay alive, right? So through this, there was a bunch of times earlier on in Israel's history where they were like close. They were actually pretty close to getting defeated, but fucking just pulled out the W because you got big Papa America behind you, right? And also the Israelis themselves, they at that point they were like, fucking, they won a bunch the wars against most of these neighboring countries. So that's how kind of like their mindset is, which is like, oh, everyone around us is basically our enemy, and that includes basically the Palestinians. That's what they treat them like the enemy. After every one of these wars that Israel fought, they basically got more land out of it. So when there was first partition, and when it was first created, Israel wasn't as big as you see it now. And Israel is relatively a small country comparatively, but like you zoom in on the map of Israel, you look at what it is right now. This is not the land that was given to them in 47. This was actually taken after they've won a couple of wars.
How did they fight the war though? Like when the British gave them this land, they also gave them weapons to
Weapon, yeah,
protect themselves?
oh yeah, American weapon. If you
Oh,
look at Israel, right, pretty much, it was gifted to them of this American weaponry, and like everything,
so
American and
the
Western
so the
weaponry.
Iron Dome that's so famous for the night sky,
Yes, it has
was
a
that
lot
given
of
them on day one?
yes, it has a lot of technical and financial help from the United States to build the Iron Dome.
Oh, okay. I always thought, okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Wow,
So
that's kind of unfair, but okay.
yeah, if you were like a Palestinian or like Syrian or whoever was fighting them during those wars, yeah, maybe you could say, man, that's not fair. It's fucking, but war's not fair, right? There's nothing that says that war has to be fair. But basically, if you ever see a map of 1947 of that area, like you see a map of what Palestine was beforehand, and then what Palestine is now and what Israel is now, it's basically just it's been consumed by Israel. Before that, the map of Israel, it was you can consider all of that land basically Palestine, right? Now
It's
it's basically almost all Israel, and there's only pockets of Palestine on Gaza Strip, West Bank, Golan Heights.
in high school we learned about how the Palestinians fought back and gained more land, but I always had the impression that they did it because they were just better militarily trained. I didn't know they just had these gifts of weapons that kind
It
of gives them an unfair
it comes
advantage.
with it, right? Like the Americans and shit would train them as well. Like they would give them everything. Like to the point where I think it was one of the wars where they were the closest to losing. I don't remember which one. It may be Yom Kippur in the 70s. But they were close to losing. I think America even gave them nukes. It's Israel to this day. There's an open secret that Israel has nukes. They've never confirmed nor deny it. But it's an open secret. Israel has nukes. It's
Wait, why wouldn't they deny it?
it's just like their like national security thing, where it's like, like I'm not gonna confirm or deny. It's like the CIA saying like
Oh,
that shit.
I guess you're stronger by saying that. Do Canada say that too, or
No,
do
Well,
people know
Canada's
that what the
never
US
really
says?
actually we never had our own nukes. We've probably had maybe Americans base some nukes during the Cold War at some Canadian sites, but they were always under
Yeah.
like American control, right?
So Canada screwed themselves because everyone knows we don't have nukes.
Yeah, well, the United States
Whereas
would have probably
Israel,
invaded us if we had nukes, but the United States
True.
wants Israel to have nukes. So Israel is basically the only power in the Middle East that has nukes.
why though? I don't understand why they're rooting Israel so hard.
That is
All right,
also
continue.
a very weird thing that everybody would always say like this is so fucking weird. But Americans have traditionally been very pro-Israeli to the point where they wanted to create this state. But the fucked up thing about modern America is this is actually really funny. You know how like there's a big evangelical power base in America, right? It permeates all of the government as well. There's you have a lot of very very Christian, very religious people that are even in the halls of power, like Mike Pence, right? He's based, and all the United States presidents basically they all have to be Christian of some sort, or else they're afraid they won't get votes, right? Um,
Truth.
yeah,
Wait, so Trump's a Christian?
Yeah, he had to
Yeah.
declare. He's basically just he probably doesn't give a shit either way. He probably just worships. The only thing he worships is probably money or something, or
A
even
huge
just
vote to get though.
yeah. But like when he goes to his rallies, of course he's like, yeah, fucking,
She'll wear the cross and everything.
yeah, sure. It doesn't. Yeah, exactly. If you're an American president, you got to pander to a big Christian sort of uh, platform, right? America has a very big, like, very Christian, and then also a very big evangelical base. And a lot of these Christian evangelicals, they believe in Judgment Day, right? And through their passages in Judgment Day, it's supposed to take place in Jerusalem or whatever, right? And Judgment Day is supposed to take place in Jerusalem, and I guess in their version of whatever, I guess like Jerusalem has to be under the Jewish control or something when Judgment Day comes, and then even when Judgment Day comes, the Jews won't get fucking raptured anyways. I don't exactly understand it, but it's like very important to Americans that like Jerusalem is not under like I don't know, like a Muslim control or something like that. It's and like aside from like a strategic interest of the United States to have like a foothold, a very allied friendly country in the Middle East in the form of Israel, they also have this spiritual aspect of some of these people in power, and also very influential like Israeli Jews that have lots of money and clout in the United States. Like all these interests intersect. You got the crazy Christians that want the fucking rapture to happen and need Jerusalem for that to happen. You got the rich, very influential Israelis lobbying the United States for very pro-Israel stuff, and then you also got like cold-hearted calculists and strategists in the United States that just the want the that want the United States to have a foothold in the Middle East for strategic value, right? So all of them, they all convalesce into this strong, very pro-Israeli presence in America.
How very convenient for them.
It's very strong. It's one of the strongest lobbies in America. Like America gives Israel just $3.8 billion, just cuts a check for them, just for Israeli defense.
That's more than the CDC gets.
Yeah, and even remember we are a couple episodes back when they were like talking about like a COVID relief bill in the United States. It basically piggybacked upon like another Israeli defense bill add-on. So I mean, like it's just Israel is to America is basically just like fucking butter on bread. It has to go on basically.
So you know how like Canada people view Canada as like the little brother to US? Does Canada have any ties with Israel?
Not
Do they
as not
support
the
them?
same as the United States, but just by proxy, we do have like an outsized Israeli pro-Israel influence. Especially you can see it in like the Conservative Party. Stephen Harper back then he was very pro-Israeli like leader, a Canadian leader, right? So it was basically try to avoid condemnation of Israel in the UN whenever Israel like starts fucking up Palestinians again, and also like would be like voting mirroring like U.S. voting and policy to try to give like whatever favorable decisions and policies for Israel, stuff like that. I mean, like, because we're just so close to America, some people just want to fucking cosplay as Americans, right?
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
Still see it everywhere here, sadly.
So what happened now is like basically because Israel basically views their existence as needing to basically wage war against their enemies around them, and also basically to militarily just pretty much take over Palestine, right? Like they like Palestine their question of statehood is not even clear, right? Like they have a spot in the UN, but like there's the question of whether they're even a state is made to be a contentious one, where is Israel and America and a bunch of that gang of guys kind of like they kind of obstruct like any kind of momentum of Israel getting some sort of like international clout, right? Sorry, Palestine getting some international clout, and in a way, like Israel, they want the Palestinian lands, but they don't want like fucking Palestinians to be Israeli citizens. So it's like they stick them in the ghetto, these areas, right? Like they are pretty much kind of like ghettos if you think about it. They want them to stay in these areas, these little reservations, and basically any comings and goings they control. They want to have control over it. So if you're if you're a Palestinian and you gotta go fucking buy a fridge or whatever, like you gotta go through military checkpoints. The Israelis might not even let you bring the fridge back to your neighborhood or some shit because you gotta cross the roadblocks and the Israeli lines.
So the Palestinians, are they the Aboriginals then in the
in
relationship?
in the analogy of like if you think about North America, yeah, they would be the Aboriginals in this case, where
They're just pushed to a place to live in and
yeah,
told where their lands are. Okay.
it's worse because in Canada nobody wants to fucking take right now. Nobody wants to take more Aboriginal lands as they're living in it, right? It's a different
That's
case
true.
in Palestine. So if you ever see like Israeli settlements, Israeli settlers, these kind of things in the news, the reason why they're controversial is because Israel wants to carve more areas of these Palestinian areas. So Gaza Strip, West Bank, all those areas, they carve out a little bit more, right? And then they move in Israeli settlers into those places, which is why that viral video went viral and why this is like a thing and people are like, what the fuck is going on? So because this has been the procedure, all of Israel came into kind of like this existence by doing this. Most of these lands, all of these lands were Palestinian before, but after Israel was created and after Israel fought these wars and won from these wars, they just took more and more and more, which kicked out Palestinians from these areas and moved them into more of these concentrated ghettos. You ever see the movie The Pianist, where Adrian Brody's character, they lived wherever in Poland, right?
I actually just watched that
They lived
2
wherever.
nights ago.
But then after the Germans invaded, they started to move them into smaller and smaller ghettos, right? If you were Jews, they moved you into these ghettos. It doesn't matter if you owned your house before. That's confiscated for you. You got to move to these ghettos, bring all your shit, and they'll move in like non-Jews to these places, right? So it's kind of like that in a way, where if you're Palestinian, tough shit. You gotta get your ass out, and then they settle in Israelis into these places, and then if you're Palestinian, you can only live in those designated Palestinian areas like Gaza, West Bank.
So
shit
for
like that.
the Palestinians, is there not a place better for them? Like, is there not a place where they can move
No.
where they get treated as human?
If you can leave, you can probably get treated better, but it's just that your entire like country is has a contested status internationally, right? I mean, like, yeah, you have the Palestinian diaspora. There's more Palestinians living abroad than there are in Palestine right now, if I remember correctly. But like, whether you're just like one of the Palestinians that lives away from Palestine, I mean, like you probably have strong feelings about Israel and your old home that you can't even go back to anymore, right? And or your relatives or whoever that are still living there. So I mean, like, not everyone can just fucking move away, right? I mean, if you're Israel, I bet you a lot of them wish it. Like, a lot of Israelis probably wish the Palestinians would move away. The ones that don't like the Palestinians, which are unfortunately quite a bit of them now. They probably wish something like that. But like, what can you do? Like, it's one of those things.
So we understand where Israel get their weapons. How does Palestinians get their weapons? Because they're fighting back, right?
They kind of don't. If you believe there's a prominent group in America that just believe that Iran is like fucking completely funding them. But even then, like the weapons that Palestinians get, they just get it from wherever they can. Like at least the militant ones, like Hamas, right? And before Hamas, just if you're just like a ragtag group, you're making your shit, you're making bombs, you're trying to get as much like fucking weapons, I guess, from wherever source you can get it. I mean, there's no state sponsor like there is for Israel, right? Like nowadays, Israel has enough fucking technical know-how and also resources and financing that they make a lot of their own weapons now, right? Um, I mean, like the weapons that Hamas and most of the any kind of like Palestinian like militant movement gets, it's just basically just a fucking small arms shit. Like the most they can ever muster, their most strongest weapon is just rockets, either launched from an actual truck, or they're launched from like fucking like little makeshift launchers on like pickup trucks or whatever. Like that's their strongest weapon. They don't have like an air force. They don't have like dedicated even like anti-aircraft missiles, right? Like rockets, just whatever rockets are the pinnacle of their military prowess. And then yeah, I mean the air force, and then Israel, like I said, they got an air force, a really strong air force. They got nukes. They got the whole house selection.
Yeah, it seems like the Palestinians have the house against them.
And this has been going forever, man. Like even in high school, you just probably didn't really. It wasn't like as prominent of news, but like every so often, this always flares up and whatever. The difference, I think, this time is just that since it's like 2021, everybody has a fucking cell phone, and there's like so much shit you can post, whatever videos and photos you have on, that it's just so much more in everybody's face. So that's why everybody's taking more.
Iron Dome has been on 24/7. Like it's always been working.
Yeah, Iron Dome is always working on a moment's notice. Ever since it is 2000, early 2010s or something when it came online. It's every so often they fire off to intercept whatever rockets. It's just this time it's even more of a widespread Israeli force of action, and also everybody has phones to record all this shit that's happening, right? And they have all these platforms to post it on.
So then, is the Palestinians' ideas to bankrupt Israelis?
No, the Palestinians are basically like they have no. They basically are just trying to survive. They're trying to stay alive. That's kind of it. Like they don't know what the fuck they're gonna do. That's kind of it. They just know that they're getting wrecked.
Not really much of a battle then, because it sounds like Israelis are likely gonna win.
Yep, that's why the whole thing where they say like Israel has a right to defend yourself. Okay, defend yourself against what, right? And they'll be like, oh, rocket attacks from fucking ragtag groups. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So why does the media portray Israel as the victim?
In Western media, it's very pro-Israeli. I don't exactly know why. Like Western media, for everybody that tries to say like the press is independent, Western media pretty much like 90% of the time it toes almost the government line. The only time it had a big break was basically Vietnam, but even during Iraq they basically towed the government line. New York Times was basically running, yeah, we gotta stop Saddam and his WMDs 24/7. So what, like American media, Western media, you can rest assured that most of the time they toe the fucking main line anyways. And if the main line is supposed to be pro-Israel, the media makes that their main line as well, right?
So you're saying like media in China and stuff would be a different voice?
Well, media in China it's not like there's no illusion that it's supposed to be like an independent whatever arm. The media in China is part of the government, right? So it's not, people are not like fucking like, you're not gonna have a surprise Pikachu face. You know exactly where the interests are, right? But it's just people over here, they somehow have a notion that the media is some fucking sacred thing that is
Yeah.
just an embodiment of like the god of neutrality. It's not. You know, it's first of all, it's under private interest, right? So they would be necessarily, it's a subsumed under, it would follow and be dictated by private interests, and on top of that, these private interests usually toe the government line, anyways. So like
Yeah.
you got a national focus, the media usually plays fucking cheerleader to it.
I guess what I'm trying to say is like what nations are looking at the other way, where it was like, oh, these Palestinians, we gotta save them kind of thing, or uh, yeah, or they're just fighting for the what's right for them kind of thing.
Which nations are looking the other way?
Yeah, who are against Israel?
Oh,
Probably the
against
Middle
Israel.
East.
I don't know, like Iran, I guess. Back then, you
Yeah.
get more like Arab states that would be against it, but most of the Arab states are now like bought by America and Israel, right? Like even Saudi
Oh,
Arabia, Jordan, UAE. Those guys, those countries, they won't.
so
They're basically they're just gonna stay silent.
there's really no support for the Palestinians.
You pretty much.
Ah, well then, this is gonna be a short-lived story.
Yeah, I mean, just
Like, is this probably likely gonna be the end of them?
no.
It doesn't sound like they have a chance.
Yeah, they don't have a chance, but I don't think Israel right now can just literally go in and just basically just extinguish Palestine. Right? I
Right.
mean, like I mean, like there's only so much that you can. Everybody that shills for them, there's only so much they can shill. If you actually go in and like extinguish Palestine, I don't think the amount of spinning that you're gonna have to put on this would just fucking it would just create a fucking twister if you try to explain this one away.
I'll just do what Trump does. Just ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
My yeah, my I think after like a month or two, after like I don't know, after Israel, I don't know, the intensity goes down a little bit. I think people will forget this. They'll lose their attention, and Palestine will go back to just getting owned. like every, like from now till now, Palestine has always been owned. This kind of shit has always been happening. It's just that they haven't never gotten this much attention from like people outside of Palestine before, right? Uh, I think it's just straight up from just social media and everybody having phones.
Yeah, that's
And
why I don't
So
get. Did something happen recent? Did I miss it? Did something happen recently that brought this all to the
so,
spotlight?
yeah, we just went through Ramadan, right? And then they had Eid to end
Yep.
Ramadan, and then Eid is supposed to be like it's supposed to be like a fucking big deal, right? Like you end the fasting and then everybody
it's
feasts.
like the Christmas Eve
Yeah,
or
it's basically
Christmas Day,
Christmas.
Santa.
Yeah, it's basically Christmas for them, right? Everybody, So, but on Eid, I think the Palestinians were praying in one of the holiest mosques in that
The
area.
holiest.
It's one of them. I think is the Al Aqsa Mosque or whatever. Top five for sure. Holiest mosques, right? Fucking
Like
ranked.
3-star Michelin stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So what happened? I think it was Israeli like security forces went in and just fucked shit up. Like shot tear gas over everywhere, broke up like the entire service on the day of Eid, during the time of Eid, right? And then fucking like, and then just incited violence. A bunch of people got hurt, and then I think Hamas retaliated, fired some rockets, and then Israel went batshit after that, right? And then this is what it's escalated to, now that Israel's full military airstrikes and artillery strikes into Palestine, and even into like Lebanon now. Because there's some like rocket attacks that came from the Lebanese borders. They fucking again they start to shell Lebanon, like kind of like what they did, you know 14 years ago, 15 years ago.
Okay. Wait, did anything like what incited this violence?
I'm not exactly sure why the security forces just decide to go up and go to a mosque and fuck shit up. I I imagine it's just one of those things. I guess just it's just this one time it got out of hand. Because I don't know. I guess it's like fucking just repetitive fatigue. They do this all the time to a lot of places in Palestine. I guess it's just this one. It blew up. It blew up in a way where like Palestinians were like, fuck you.
I see. That's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, like, fuck. Even before this, this is quite frequently something you would see in that area. Like you would see tidbits of it. It wouldn't be front page stuff, but you'd see every so often when you open like, the newspaper, or you open up fucking whatever news site you go to, somewhere down the line, it's in whatever row, in whatever page, there'll be something about Israel, Palestine. Whether it's like, fucking, the Israeli, is security forces shot and killed some Palestinian kids that threw rocks at them, or they intercepted some kind of like activist boat and basically somehow ended up shooting a whole bunch of Palestinian activists. It would be second page stuff, right? Um, this has just gotten everybody's attention because this is first page headline news now. This has gotten a lot of coverage and a lot of fucking clicks for this. So
Yeah, gotcha.
that's why it looks. That's why it's like, well, how did it blow up like this? It's it's not it's not as much of a blow up like this, but it's more like for us, for everybody that watches the news, it had blown up in our eyes.
Well, it had me confused. I don't watch as much news and stuff these days. So, yeah, I didn't realize what brought up this whole thing all of a sudden.
This is the longest running story arc. It's longer than The Simpsons. It's longer than Naruto. It's longer
Yeah,
than One
I
Piece.
took it, yeah, that's what I took it as something that's been going on since like, yeah, those biblical ages and stuff, and it's just always been a thing. So I was a bit surprised that all of a sudden this is what's on the news and everything.
Yeah, everybody is basically a walking reporter now. If you see shit going down, and you got a phone on you, you could capture it and you can upload it. Everybody gets to see this shit now, and that's I'm pretty sure that's why this one has gotten so big. Again, like if you even like recent conflicts, or even when Israel like invaded Lebanon in 2006, if you just had a like as much fucking phones and shit and Twitter and all those social media like you had in 2006, it would be just as big as a blow up. And and it'll be like, oh, but you also you'll get like, why is Israel doing this to Lebanon or whatever. It would just be as big as a blow up. I think it's just literally because of the age we live in now.
Are they the
Definitely
only
personal.
nation that gets to do this? Like expand their borders?
In the modern world, it's one of the yeah, I think it's one of the only handfuls of nations where like they would do something like this, and then they have a strong patron to back them against any like reciprocal actions from anyone else. Like they don't even get condemnations
Yeah.
that much in the UN. Like it gets blocked. So then like the UN is basically a body that just talks a bunch, but they're not even really necessarily able to fucking make statements like make joint
They're not gonna
statements.
touch this.
Yeah, because the U.S. kind of vetoes it. Like the UN usually they it has to be like, I don't know, unanimous, or at least no one vetoes like official UN
Yeah.
statement from all the UN members. Well, like the United States has vetoed the recent one where it's like they're supposed to condemn the violence in Israel and to call for Israelis to have a ceasefire. Well, the U.S. vetoed that one in the UN Assembly, right? So, I mean, like they have a strong patron to basically have their back. So they may be the only country, I think, in the world that they can do this, and also not catch flack for it. Like otherwise, you'd have to be like Russia. You'd have to be like Russia with like, thousands of nukes and used to be the Soviet Union to be able to take back Ukraine for them. For them, it's taking back Ukraine. For, people in the West, it's like invading Ukraine and annexing Ukraine. So like, not Crimea. Sorry, yeah, Crimea. I think that would be the other country that has taken land in the current era. Otherwise, it's just small border conflicts that you don't even give a shit about. Like none of us would give a. None of us really gave a. Like we didn't even like talk about like fucking Armenia and Azerbaijan or whatever, right? That was probably the last one.
I don't think I know those countries.
Yeah, you didn't know those countries. Yeah, so that was probably the last one that anybody gave a shit to, and even then they had fucking patrons behind them. Anyways, what else we have lined on the docket today? Now that Brian is up to speed.
I appreciate it.
You are welcome. You and
Yes, very informative.
you and 20 other people slash suspected bots are welcome.
Yeah, I still question anytime you say a number of potential listeners.
Yeah.
Never believe it.
Even if
The
we
only thing
are.
that recently I just saw the trailer for the Friends reunion thing today,
What's
and
that?
that's coming out soon.
Is that a movie
There,
or a season?
it's gonna be like a interview, kind of like behind the scenes kind of thing. Like they're getting all the cast together, and they're just gonna be talking and stuff like that, I think.
I was kind of
But
like, they
that's
do
coming
that.
out. Sorry, I'll just finish this. That's coming out on the 27th, so next week, as of this recording, and I'll be on HBO, whatever their online
Like,
streaming thing is.
they used to do these in cons, right? Like Comic-Con or like comic book cons kind of thing, where you get these big reunions and they talk. So I guess they're
Usually
just,
that's like, yeah, they get the cast together for like Q&As and stuff. I think this will go, they'll be on like the original set and stuff like that, and they'll go through like actual more scripted stuff. And it seems like they might be doing old table reads or something. I don't know. It's a big special for it. I don't know how long it is, but it seems like they're going to be going through a lot of that.
yeah. Oh, do you have an affinity for Friends? Like,
Sorry?
Do you have an
did
affinity for Friends?
I've watched Friends
This is like what a fucking
through
alien
multiple
asked
times.
somebody.
I've watched the entire series probably at least
Do
three
you
times in its
do
entirety.
you have an affinity for this television program?
I thought you were asking if I had an affinity for a certain member. I'm like, well, they. I'm not too sure. Chandler, maybe in Ross. Ross is kind of has some of the funniest moments, even though he's not really the most likable.
I liked
wait,
Ross.
Ross. Ross is good, yeah. Like they also had spin-off shows, right? Didn't Joey have his own TV series
Yeah, it
after Friends?
flopped.
Yeah, Joey, I think, was the only one that had an official spin-off from the show, and it wasn't good from what I remember.
Yeah. And Ross's sister, what's her name?
Monica, Courtney Cox.
Monica? Yeah. Was she like she was pretty big in the beginning, right? Like did she have to go through surgery to
What?
get to wasn't she like super big?
Like in the
Fat?
show, like the character.
Yeah, fat in the
Yeah,
character,
she was
yeah.
fat during like college, high school
The fuck,
days,
man?
and
You're
then
just like an algorithm watching the show.
and if you don't remember, Chandler made fun of her during that past, and then she got all fit and stuff
Was she
She
afterwards.
what's
wasn't
Courtney
actually
Cox?
fat. She was wearing a fat suit for
Oh,
like
okay.
scenes when
The
they were
actual
in.
I thought
actor,
I
yes.
thought she had to lose weight to
No,
get
she was
to
wearing a fat suit for those scenes in their like high school flashbacks or whatever.
that makes more sense.
No, she wasn't
Okay.
actually fat. She had to lose the weight.
Oh, I thought you meant the character, not the actual actor and stuff. Because when the
Well,
show started, she was already skinny and stuff. It's just during those flashbacks that she's fat.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. All right. I always thought she was fat and as a character, and then she lost weight, and they just wrote her character losing weight as the actress lost weight. That's how I imagined it.
Wait, have you? So you haven't seen the show?
I've seen it. I don't think I followed
Like
it, but
some
I've seen it.
episodes or something?
Yeah, some episodes. Yeah.
Okay, that would make more sense.
You watched it. You watched from back. You watched it from.
In
You watched it
chronological order.
backwards.
Like
Yeah, so I see Monica gain weight as as the
he
season
starts,
gets
she
closer.
or he started watching the show in clips of their flashbacks to high school and stuff, and watched them age in the proper order.
Yes, that's exactly what he did.
I wouldn't put it past them.
That's probably better than how he usually watches stuff. If he watches like something chronological order, that's actually a big improvement over whatever the fuck he does now.
If you told me he actually did that, I would absolutely believe it.
Would you say Friends age as well? Like it's still if you were watching it today, it's still
Yeah,
relevant?
it's still
Mostly.
it is.
The
Like the
only thing is
jokes.
like some of their stuff like cell phones and stuff like that. Minor issue. That's the only thing. It's kind of like the argument for Seinfeld sometimes. It's like a lot of the storylines for the episodes and everything. It would just be solved with cell phones nowadays. You like just call the other person up and be like, "Hey, yeah, this is happening," and that would be the end of the conflict. But yeah, Friends overall, I still watched it. I think I watched it just a couple of years ago or so, and it's still good.
Yep, rewatching the whole series is one of those things you can totally do it. It doesn't feel too dated. One of the things why it doesn't feel too dated is because we all grew up during that era, so um, it doesn't
True.
seem something like completely fucking out of this world to us.
So if you think a Zoomer watches it, they wouldn't
Yeah, they might
understand it.
as a yeah they might add the point. They're like, why what the fuck is this? When was this made? Like 1930?
I guess that's the same feeling because if I watch a show my mom watched when she grew up with, I would just not have any interest or relate to it. So
Yeah.
makes sense.
But you know, one of those things I find weird is because if you watch old film, at least you have like you get that feeling because the quality just is just shit, right? You can tell it like something's fucking old, and the quality is just like that. I'm getting like this weird out of touch feeling when I watch like high definition like movies from like the 2000s or whatever or 20 like maybe 20 years ago, or maybe they really did a really good remaster of some of the like ones in the 90s, so everything looks like all the like the HD makes everything look just recent, but fucking you would know that like this is old at the same time, but it doesn't give me that like like that navigational bearing in my brain where it's like, yeah, I'm watching a movie from like the 60s, or I'm watching a black and white movie. I know this one's fucking old, but I see Friends or something, and fucking everybody's young, so I'm like, oh wow, yeah, this seems like it's like just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, one of the thing that dates it that I always remember is just there's one kind of joke they make that Chandler got a new laptop and he's like saying all the specs. And I
Yeah,
looked it up. The line is like, all right, check this bad boy out. 12 megabytes of RAM, 500 megabyte hard drive, built-in spreadsheet capabilities, and a modem that transmits at over 28,000 BPS.
yeah, that's like weaker
It's
than
like,
your like
yeah,
fucking desk lamp.
that's older than like flip phones.
Yeah, those are terrible. That's how you can tell it's like new. But one medium that is very effective that you can't really tell is porn. And I was watching some older porn the other day, like from like 2008, and I was like thinking like, holy fuck, like everybody in this must be fucking old now. They've long retired, but I'm still like in this. They're like fucking 20 or some shit like that. The girls. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, porn is ageless. It can be ageless.
Well, I think for the most part, the turnover rate for the actors in it, they're not,
Yeah,
they
it's
don't
just a
last
couple of years.
that long.
Yeah, it's more. Yeah, it's more intense than the fucking StarCraft players, football players.
They get too old, they can't keep up.
Until like people like fucking change the way like I don't know fucking dicks and vaginas look, porn will be ageless.
Well, I think with that, where the age could come is their hairstyle, right? Like different era has different types of hairstyle.
Yeah,
So
but
like
the
really
hairstyle,
old,
the difference isn't as prominent from like the 2000s till now, right?
yeah, you wouldn't really know 2000, but I think like the 80s you could tell.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is,
Oh
and even the music.
Yeah, but even now, it's like you'll find that one category that's gonna fit that too.
yeah. You just want to watch retro porn?
Well, not just that, but the amount of hair too.
Yeah.
People fetish
No
that
shaving.
niche.
I guess you asked about that is timeless. Actually, I watched this what do you call it, food travel show on Netflix called Somebody Feed Phil,
Yeah,
and
and
it's from the guy who wrote Everybody Loves Raymond. And at first, like once I figured that out, then I had more interest in the host. But anyways, this guy, his name is Phil, and he directed Everybody Hates Raymond, and he talks about
Everybody hates
how
Raymond.
or loves Raymond. Sorry.
everybody
Okay,
hates Ray.
I thought that was like a parody. He like parodied his own stuff.
So everybody loves Raymond. So after he finished the show, and he was trying to pitch another sitcom, I guess, that because he was in his bubble, writing Everybody Loves Raymond, that sitcom itself has changed, and that the jokes that people laugh to are different. Like I guess during his time, sitcoms were more family friendly about like showing that family style, and now it's kind of like the comedy had changed to more raunchy comedy or uh, what do you call absurd or outrageous kind of thing. And for him, he just that was just wasn't his style of jokes, and so he wasn't able to get a successful sitcom after Everybody Loves Raymond. So then he had decided to go into travel and food because that's what his passion was. And so he talked to his agent, and so the agent got him to go to the travel network to pitch his idea. And then so he pitched his idea about the show, what he wants to do, and the travel network told him that they no longer do travel shows. They do what's like travel adjacent. So like things like Pimp My Ride,
Travel
where you talk
adjacent.
about the car, but you don't actually go anywhere. And he was very like, oh, that's interesting. And then so the travel network told him, if you want to do food, you should talk to the Food Network, right? So that's his next step. He went to talk to the Food Network, pitched his idea, da da da, and the Food Network told him, we don't really do food anymore. We do what's food adjacent. And he's like, what's food adjacent? And it's like, for us, we do competitions, right? Like most of the Food Network is all about competition. It's not,
Yeah, it's kind
it's
of true.
about food, but it's mostly focused on the competition. And this kind of swings back to what we were talking about last episode when we were talking about the History Channel, how it's not about history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Food
Yep.
Network is not about food, and like travel is no longer about travel. So it's like this weird parody we're entering now, where channels aren't really what they're about anymore.
God help me if one day porn is not about porn anymore. I mean, what the
How,
fuck would be the point?
yeah, that would be the most shocking thing.
You
All of a
know,
sudden, we're learning about
that
history
would
on the
be
porn channel.
that would
And
be
we're
funny if
watching
it's like
porn on the
human.
History Channel. what? What were you about to say?
Like about like Me Too movements and stuff. They're not.
What? Who?
I don't know. Did you just cut out?
I made a cut. So what I'm saying is, you were afraid that porn is no longer porn,
Yeah.
and what if it becomes the opposite, where it's about human rights, right? Like
Yeah.
about the Me Too and stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go home watch some porn documentaries. Like I hear they got a new scope on Me Too.
Yeah, strangely enough, I could kind of see that happening.
Yo, I would watch a porn documentary made by like a porn studio because I'm assuming that there's still porn inside of it. They're gonna have to
I
intersperse the
sure would.
scenes.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Nah, they're just gonna talk about how poorly the actress has been treated and how they are basically prostitution made to legalize it and stuff.
Oh fuck! You know what, yo? Oh my god, someone should pitch this idea to like one of the porn studios. Do a docu porn, like a mockumentary but porn. Like they'll be talking in front of the camera, like Modern
Like,
Family, Office style.
would
But
this be episodic?
I don't know. But they'll fuck as well. They have to have the fucking scenes, but it'll be like
Well, I mean,
probably
like, okay, so they do like George Washington, the history of, and the whole thing's a porno, but it's centered on George Washington, and then a different show
no,
or
no, 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 no,
episode would be.
that would be too much into like fucking his like no one wants to watch George Washington fuck, right? No, it'll be like The Office, but like a porn style. So you'll have like the Office Jim and Office Pam, but they will have scenes
Oh,
where they
okay.
fuck, and
So
they'll
just
say into the
mockumentary
camera,
style,
yeah,
not history
yeah,
style.
mockumentary style, exactly. And they'll be like fucking, and then it'll be like in front of the camera, it'll be like, yeah, like I've never done anal before, and then they have a fuck scene, and then the girl will be back in front of the camera. Wasn't too bad. It'll be something like that.
I feel like they have parodies. They do parodies. Like there's Big
Yeah.
Bang and all your favorite sitcoms.
No, I want
They have
mockumentary
it.
porn. I think that would
At
be
least
feel
awesome.
do
like
it better. If you're gonna do the parody, maybe even do it better. I can't think of any that
like
are actually like of note that's like, oh, this is the best one ever.
This is
like what do you mean by better? Like better acting or
better
Yeah,
everything.
better
better
acting, writing, story,
scene?
everything.
Better everything. But you know what? Just let it be known that on this day, whenever this episode gets published, that we came up with this idea first. And if you ever see mockumentary porn, this is what's going on. And you know what? Recently, I found out Netflix did exactly what we talked about fucking back then. When
Oh, the random
the
thing?
random thing. That's just the I'm feeling lucky. Just play something shuffle. They fucking
I
have
actually
it
haven't
now.
even used it yet. I saw the button, but I haven't pressed it yet.
They
Is it
always
actually?
play Netflix original though. They never pick something unoriginal.
Oh, so it's not actually random.
But it's
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 biased.
random, but it's within the pool of Netflix original. Like
Yeah.
it'll choose
Like it wouldn't give you Green Book or something like that.
it'll choose something that like the algorithm thinks you'll like, but it is like I'm feeling lucky thing. They'll just play something.
Yeah, right, I guess
Yeah.
that's. It's like at least it's good to have and not need it kind of thing.
I never used it.
Yeah, neither
I
have I.
So I don't know if it's good to have. I
I
never used
mean,
it as a point.
I feel like we should get like I don't know, at least 1 cent for every time someone presses that button.
Yes.
That
So
sounds about fair.
my issue with Netflix, I think they were really good before in the sense of recommendation because they give you a 5-star rating system and you would rate a movie based on the 5-star system.
Yep.
And from there, they had an algorithm that figure out like, oh, someone else gave it 5-star, and that's how they kind of give you recommendations. Can try to figure out what you like.
And you
And
don't like the thumbs up, thumbs down system they have now?
right, because thumbs up, thumbs down is better in terms of, I guess, picking something or in terms of rating something. But the problem is the recommendations is garbage. Like, there's not enough data for the algorithm to like filter out what you would like. So that's the part I don't like about Netflix anymore is that the
Yeah.
recommendation algorithm is no longer useful. Where before I felt like it was pretty good. Like it will find shows that I would never have considered watching, and it's like, oh, this is actually something I would like.
Yeah, I agree. I like the 5-star system better than just thumbs up and thumbs down too. It's just not enough. Like, what if it's not entirely black and white? Your opinion of things can be gray, so give me that choice.
No,
Yeah.
they purposely got rid of it. They didn't want fucking. They at first they didn't want fucking some of their shit getting just 1 star or whatever. It's too much of an
You're right,
embarrassment.
but I understand that's an embarrassment on them, but for as a user, it makes
Exactly.
so much
Fuck
sense.
them. Like who gives a shit what they think?
Like it doesn't, and I think it's good feedback on them. Like if people gave them 1 star on Iron Fist, it's like, oh, people really hate this show.
Yeah.
I never even watched it. I don't think the Marvel shows are really that good for like Daredevil first season was pretty good, but then after that's like Jessica Jones, I stopped watching that. didn't even watch The Punisher, didn't watch Iron Fist. It's like those ones were pretty crappy from what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the one scene Punisher my friend tells me about where Punisher gives like a handshake or like a salute to Daredevil, but then Daredevil's blind, so it's like you wouldn't really see him getting that salute, so you'd be like, did someone say something? He would just look around. But
I am now
anyway,
saluting you.
yeah, it was like giving like a hand gesture, like, "Hey man, good job," kind of thing, like a thumbs up or something. And the blind man is just like, "Someone say something."
He uses the echolocation to see you saluting. Or
But
whatever
yeah,
the hell.
anyway,
Has
that
anyone here seen? It's not a Netflix show; it's Amazon. But Invincible,
Yes, I have. It's pretty good.
is that
I
a
quite
cartoon?
enjoyed it too. Yeah,
Um,
it's a cartoon.
remember I had that fucking. We talked last time, like, what my what the thing I found odd about all kind of superheroes, uh, all superhero based like things, worlds, right? Where it's like if you have these superheroes, these people with powers in this world, your society won't even look the same anymore, or whatever, right? And like Invincible, kind of it all follows that too, but I guess no, but it's just that I like how fucking gory it is. I think
Yeah,
they kind of hint that like they hint at the problem. They hint at like the whole thing where oh fuck, what do we do if one of the superheroes just fucking just decides to go ham on all of us or whatever, right? But they never follow through with any kind of like what like I don't know. I feel like one of these days they should have like a superhero world where they try as much as they can to envision what like society itself would look like if you had these superheroes like existing at the same time. Yeah, I mean you wouldn't have fucking cops that look like cops now and just with like fucking handguns facing off against like aliens anymore. You know what I mean? Like this
yeah,
is
not after a certain point for sure.
yeah, exactly. I mean like but I like what they do with the super like in Invincible because yeah, like what if you're like the strongest fucking guy? Like what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if like Superman was fucking evil or some shit like that, right? I always like those ones when I
Oh,
feel like
like
DC does that pretty good.
I felt like DC was going to make that movie if Zack Snyder was a continuous vision. Like the whole idea where Superman does turn evil
I think
and
he's
Batman has to.
I don't know because I don't know I felt like maybe he feels like fucking I don't know, can't do it, not ready for it. Maybe he just
Oh,
sucks. I don't know.
that
Make a
was.
4 hour
Did you
movie is not
watch
even that
the?
good.
I can
I was gonna say,
envision
did you
the
watch the
studios wouldn't
4 hour
like
movie?
it.
Huh? Say again.
I was
Uh,
gonna say if you watched the 4 hour movie.
I didn't watch it. No, I don't
Okay,
want to.
because
I
they
have
did.
no wanting to do it.
That's what. Well, that movie was just all fan service, but they did. He did hint like what he would do in this next movie, which was Superman turning evil, and then Batman fighting in a new apocalyptic war against Superman.
I feel like if you put it in Zack Snyder's hands, he's gonna just like shit all over that whole thing. Anyways, he's not gonna do it. He's not gonna do it good. you
it's
know.
weird. I don't know if this will be spoilers because I did watch the 4 hour one. I don't know. Did we talk about this before?
Just spoil it, man. It's all the fun is in the
I
spoilers.
just don't even remember if we talked about it or not. But
Briefly, I think we didn't give it too
We
much
talked
time.
about it when the movie hasn't came out yet. We talked about
okay.
it in format.
Well, I don't know how much of spoiler this is. It doesn't matter. But if people listening don't want to hear spoilers to this, the 4 hour version of Zack Snyder's Justice League thing,
Pause the 4 hour version. Come back.
wait, this won't take long. But whatever. So at the very end, they just randomly show what seems to be. They kind of. It looks like they're setting it up for a sequel, but there's no sequel that's greenlit or anything. I don't think they're gonna make another one, so I don't know why they did that. But it did show like little snippets and such of like the post-apocalyptic world. And there is a little Easter egg where it shows Batman on like the future Batmobile, which it is just directly taken from Frank Miller's comic
Mad
of
Max.
Batman. He did the
Oh,
future
Batman.
Batman, like Old
Oh,
Man
okay.
Batman.
Yeah,
And
Batman
it's like a
Returns.
huge ass tank thingy, and yeah, so it has like that almost exactly from the comics in it, which it looks cool. But yeah, that ending it doesn't make any sense. It's set up for a sequel, but there's no sequel that I don't think they're gonna make one. Like people
No, I
don't
don't think.
like him, and the
I know
movie didn't do
people.
well. So,
People actually did like him. That's the reason why he got the Snyder cut.
oh, sorry, I should clarify. I mean, people didn't really like the movie, and I think it's like producers and such, like the actual studio heads. I don't think they would like go forward with that kind of uh, storyline, I guess.
I
Because I think
thought.
one of the big things is that would just turn your main, like some of the biggest characters in the thing against each other, and not in the necessarily good way if they're going with this post-apocalyptic world where it seems like some characters will die and such.
I thought the reaction or the reception was overly positive. Like it wasn't like the best movie, but people generally liked it more than the Justice League, and people liked that he had or Zack Snyder
Like
had
the
his own vision,
compared to the theatrical cut, right?
but compared to the theatrical cut. So
Yes.
overly, I think it was positive. People were like, "Oh, the Joss Whedon cut was horrible."
Yeah,
Or
it's just
like it was,
relative to the Whedon cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Whedon cut sucks so much that the Snyder cut would be better. But just overall as a
Yeah.
movie,
it was
both were
still at the
probably
same
not
level.
hitting the high notes.
I
Yeah,
still don't think it was good per se. It might have been a bit better just because it clarified a few things, but yeah, as a movie overall, it's not
I think
anything to, write home about.
I mean, if you're gonna make
yeah.
evil Superman, I don't think you should get any of those guys to fucking touch it. You need someone else.
Yeah, overall, I think it made more sense, like compared to the Whedon one, which was a lot of it was just a lot of clips strung together. Um, I but it was on different circumstance because one is Zack Snyder had like unlimited boundaries, so he had so much time he could fit in everything, and that seems to be what he did. So all those fan service he fit in. There were scenes that doesn't make sense narratively, but he put it in. So it made it like one scene that I'm gonna spoil. It's like this really heartfelt scene between Lois and Superman's mom, and you're like, oh, okay, that's a really heartfelt moment. You kind of feel like
Martha.
you see where Martha's coming from. You see like Lois, and then you find out that wasn't Martha. It was an alien, a shape-shifting alien. And then you're like, that totally takes away that scene. You're like, what you're trying to tell me, that scene didn't mean anything.
It's
And he
just no
only
point.
Subverting
and it
expectations.
and it's only because the fan service is like, oh yeah, do you like this alien guy? We found a way to put him in the movie, and
Yeah, spoilers,
ripped
it's
away
Martian
that
Manhunter.
and you ripped away that emotional connection that she just has because now it's fake. Now it's like, what's the point of that?
I am kind
But
of on the other side. Like, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it is Martian Manhunter, which I found that more interesting than their deep connection. Like, I kind of forgot about that and just like, oh, they put that in.
He did it
But
for
more
they
so
did it
just
for
because I'm like a
Jason.
comic book guy. Yeah.
They did it for Jason.
they did it
Just
for you,
because I'm like,
Jason.
oh, cool, it's Jean. It's like, okay.
But like
It's
as a
just more of a
narrative, it
good
made no
nod to
sense.
it. Yeah, movie-wise, I know what you're talking about. It does take away from that.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah,
They just
remember
did it for
that
the
scene?
nerds.
That's why I felt so annoyed when Arya killed the Ice King. I'm just like, what? Why? You didn't
Yeah,
deserve to kill
it's
him.
just so sudden and everything too.
One
Yeah.
episode. And we should have seen the signs.
we
I was the
I
one who
think we
told you
partially
guys.
did see the signs of that something like that coming, but it's not gonna stop us from finishing the show, right? We have so
No.
much time invested.
Yeah,
And you guys
no.
were so much defending Arya, like, oh, she's totally gonna fight the Ice King and stuff. And while you guys were right, narratively, I'm just like, it didn't make sense.
No, like okay, yeah, like we were like, okay, fuck. She has motivation to kill him. let's not let's
Yes, that's true.
yeah, let's not bury this one. We were arguing like you argued. Oh, she doesn't have any motivation. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, she does have motivation.
Everyone has motivation.
But we were all baffled. Like, why did he just show up basically just for one episode, big boss fight, and that's it? I mean, like this is like a fucking short shift.
Yeah, it's like playing a video game, like 10 hours in, you're at the final boss. It's been a long, hard game, but final boss just one bullet.
Just putty, just melts in front of you. Like,
That's that's what happens in video games because they run out of budget. Like they're like, oh shit, we don't have money. We're just gonna end it, right? And
this show
anime
had
is
so
the
much
same thing.
budget. They put
Like,
it
they
all
do this
into
in anime
CG on
too, right?
dragons. Was that?
They do this with anime as well, right? Where they build up the story and then they're like, oh shit, we're not renewed for another season. We're just gonna end it, and then like everything gets wrapped up in like 1 or 2
That's what
episodes.
Justice League did.
yeah, but you
The
know,
Zack
fucking,
Snyder thing.
but
None
D
of the
and D.
actors are even signed up for the sequel that I know of. Why would they end it like this?
See, that's completely all of that is different from Game of Thrones. They had everything. They had
They did.
absolutely everything. The studio was like, "You sure you guys don't want another season? We'll bankroll you." No, I think
They-
we're good. We're just gonna
But they wrote
butcher
it
it.
as if
Damn
they
it,
had
you-
nothing. They wrote it as if they're like, oh, we don't really have budget. We just gotta end it, kind of thing.
Yeah, that
Uh,
means they're shit. That means like they're literally you can't blame it on anything but those fucking cocksuckers.
Yeah, they're just like, no, we
Yeah.
made enough money. We're good. We're just gonna wrap this up here.
In like the worst way possible. Because at the end we're like, oh wow, that was a short fight. Maybe they have something in store where like it's gonna be the fucking struggle for the throne. Maybe that will be something that will be like the worthwhile finale to all this. Nope,
Yeah.
nope.
It's like, hey, Brandon, you want to be Lord of Winterfell? It's like, nah, I can't.
Sure, let's have
Idol for
fucking
anything. Hey, you want to be king? Yeah, okay.
yeah, man. Let's start my presidential campaign.
Don't even need one.
That-
Don't worry, we got you. Here's your crown.
I think that's the issue because like Game of Thrones, the whole idea is like there's no simple solution. Like it's all complicated, like human politics, all that stuff. And then the final season, basically everything gets wrapped up by very simple strokes.
It's not even just simple. It's so random. It's like they picked a
And
name out of a
random,
hat.
Well, I guess
just
you could
left
say that's the most
everything.
simplest way.
They literally left everything else. They're like, fuck it, just finish it. It's like that scene where Homer has to mail in his tax returns and he just fucking slaps some stamps on it and throws it into the bin.
Yeah. Bart, you're a veteran. Lisa, you're disabled, and Maggie, you're 7 people. Like, yeah, let's just finish this up. We gotta mail this in.
That was it.
Yeah.
Those fucking guys, they should go to jail.
So what's JJ's R. Martin like? Is he gonna continue writing his Fire and Ice song?
I have no idea. He's just gonna wait until he fucking dies like the Berserk manga guy. At this point, it might as well. He probably saw it. He saw the show. He's like, "Wow, this has killed all of my motivation to do anything." Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say like
I'm just fucking limp after this. I'm never gonna get up again.
Watch, that was his. He like finished the book and everything. He had the same ending as the show. Since there was all the backlash.
Oh yeah,
he's
they're
just
like,
like, oh fuck.
just
starts to
a
burn the book.
just a pale face as he he throws it in the fireplace. No one must ever know this was written.
like D&D was like, what? We followed the book to the letter.
Yeah.
You just haven't seen it
It
yet.
wasn't their fault at all. We had the source
Yeah, but-
material. He wrote it himself. The only copy.
He was the one who asked us to get Arya to kill the Ice King.
If you value your lives and your family, you will not speak of this book. You will take the rap, and you will fall for me.
And now he's just still like sitting there with like his head in his hands, like, how the hell do I do this now?
So the prequel is coming out, right? The one about the Targaryen.
Fuck,
Are
man.
you guys gonna watch it?
I don't know. I'm probably not. I don't know. Maybe
I'll probably still watch
torrent it at the very least or some shit like that. I'm more anticipating the Wheel of Time to come out. I want that. I want to watch that.
I wanted the Lord of the Rings MMO from Amazon, but they canceled that.
owned. Bezos doesn't want you to.
Yeah.
Wait, MMO, like a mass multi online
Yep.
game?
Yep.
Oh,
MMORPG. If they had the Lord of the
wow.
Rings one, and it was in the making, and then now it's canceled.
I mean, it fucking sounds logical, right? If you have like fucking Star Wars MMO, you might as well have the Lord of the Rings one. That makes a lot more
Why
sense too.
MMO? Why not just make it an RP? I thought RP is the new buzzword.
They do have some of them. They have
Well, I
games
mean, you
like
could
that.
make RP servers and such.
They even have like fucking Total War style like fucking Lord of the Rings games, if I remember. You know, I mean, but MMO, yeah, it makes sense. Of course, they make
I mean,
sense.
there was a Lord of the Rings MMO before. I think this came out quite a while back. Uh, but yeah, Lord of the Rings Online is what it was called, and I think it was fairly big back then. But I wanted a new game to play. Like I wanted a new MMO to play for a long time now, but there's been nothing good. Feels bad. I'll have to keep waiting.
Well, I've been playing Conqueror's Blade. That's what I've been doing. It's like it's
Conquer's Blade.
yeah, it's a mix of like almost like Dynasty Warriors and Total War and all of that. So it's basically
Oh,
you have a guy, but then your guy can control like a war band of like 40 whatever people that you can bring into battle to like take a castle or some shit. You gotta work with a whole bunch of everybody else on the team. It's
And
all
you
right.
fight mobs.
Yeah, well, no, you fight each other. It's like PvP,
Oh,
or
okay.
PvE. Yeah, PvE for some stuff, but for the big like the meat stuff would be like a siege battle where you have to storm a castle. So it's PvP. So you attackers versus defenders, right? And then you can like set up cannons and shit, and then whatever, and then you have skills with like swords or bows and arrows or like axes, maces and shit. So you got that Dynasty Warrior feeling when you go into like battle against the other guy's like fucking army and you're just like ragdolling them. But then you gotta if you fight the other guy too, like if the opposing team. So it's kind of like in that part it's kind of like For Honor that game, but and
So
then
it's kind of like strategy incorporated in that too, then, right?
tactics, not really strategy. It's just like you control like this band of like just a small like company of either like melee troops or like range troops that will come with you. But like
Right.
if they get wiped out, you gotta go replenish. You gotta muster up another war band that you fucking have in reserve. But basically, you're trying to hold points or whatever during the battle parts, right? And then when you're not in
Okay.
battle, you can travel around. You can craft stuff. You can get like you can farm resources and shit, all that. But that's all I'm gonna say because they're not paying me for any of this, and this is basically just free advertisement for either a mix of bots and people, right? That listen to this.
Oh
So
my
fuck
God.
that.
If we actually get a game to sponsor us, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's not. Look, I started playing that game because it's free. I have paid no money for it.
I've been looking for a game to play. I got so bored of just like I got nothing, and there's this free game on Steam. And I was so bored I tried it out. It's called Chair Simulator. All you do in the game is sit in a chair.
All right, man. You can
Yeah,
play
and
this
then you
game
get
instead. It's for
points,
free.
and you can buy a new chair to sit in. And that's it. That's the entire game.
That's some
you
psycho
have to go
shit.
to department stores or the brick and look
No,
at
you just
chairs.
leave. You can leave your house and you're just directly at the store, and it's just full of chairs. Like goodbye.
Oh,
But
Uh,
none of it really changes. It just changes how fast you get points to buy a new chair.
have you
And you only
ever
get points
played?
by sitting in the chair.
IGN gives it 10 out of 10.
Jesus.
Have you ever played walking simulators?
Oh
I
my
have
Like,
god.
not, but I hear some of them are actually pretty good just because, it's got good graphics and stuff like that. They're more
yeah,
peaceful
like
type of games. This was not.
Layers of Fear is pretty good. It's a walking simulator. You don't really do much. You just walk around. It's pretty fun.
What
Yeah, I
the
think there was
fuck?
a good one. It might be pretty old. I remember this was on like PS4 or something, like early days. I think it was called Journey or something. And that's just like a good walking sim
Oh
type
yeah,
game.
Journey's yeah, it's a indie game. It won for music, I believe.
Yeah, I think those types of games you just go for the ambiance and
Yeah.
how, yeah, graphics
The
and sound.
Oh,
new
I
Resident
definitely get
Evil.
that, but I just always feel like walking, the scope of walking is so small. I, like I like fucking Flight Simulator, right? Like that is you can fly anywhere in the world. But if you had to walk, I don't know. I guess if it's
Wait,
open world, I that would be very enticing. Like the whole
what
point of buying Flight Simulator was you can fly anywhere in the world. And
do
fucking I
you
like planes too, so
do you have passengers on your flight?
yeah, but they don't fucking matter.
They don't do anything.
Yeah,
Because I was hoping it'd be like a roller coaster tycoon kind of thing. Like
you,
people are like rating you badly before the flight for the
that
turbulence,
would
or
be
people are
actually that would be interesting. Like I would be interested if Microsoft did something like that where you have to like like they put in actual passengers in your plane. Right now it's just literally it's just numbers for like passenger is
yeah.
you're just putting in the weight.
Do
There's
you
no you
do
don't
you need
actually
to
see
do
people
the
in your plane. But you
do
if
you
you
do
want to
the
simulate
intercom
like
though?
if you want to simulate like a full weighted plane, you just put in the weight number. It's all that's but like
So
yeah,
it's
if they put
very
in passengers,
technical.
it'll be pretty fucking cool. What were you gonna say
I would love
before?
the mode where you would talk in your microphone, telling them like, "Hello, everyone. Welcome to WestJet. We're gonna fly today. Weather is sunny, 20 degrees,
Yeah,
clear
to your
skies."
passengers. No, yeah, like it'll be cool if you could have actual people sit in on your plane and they'll just take it. Like I like the flight sim community is probably one of the most like dedicated communities out there because like I can imagine people will actually do this. They already have they have people that just volunteer to be air traffic controllers on flight sim. So I don't know if you guys know this, but like on most of the flight sim games, like civilian flight sim, not like military, like DCS or whatever, but like X Plane, the old Flight Simulator X, and also the new one, Flight Sim 2020. There's a community. It's called like VAT Sim, and it's just air traffic control sim. But it's like real air traffic controllers, but they're volunteering their time to play the game, and basically they'll have on the site.
What?
Yeah, on the site you download. I think the package that you download just gives you like the radio frequency to tune into and whatever and some other supporting stuff. But basically, they will basically man like an area, so they can
Okay.
you can search where you can if there's like one guy if there's an air traffic controller that's like just playing at Heathrow. You load up the VAT sim and everything, and you have to know the terminology and everything too, like like what to actually how to communicate with them, and they'll be
Do you have
like
to talk about
you can see it
Discord?
on YouTube.
To
No, it's
Well,
not
here's
Discord.
my
It's the actual program. It's a VAT sim sort of deal,
Oh,
and then
here's my issue with that though. Isn't air traffic controller one of the most stressful jobs
yeah,
like in
but
the world?
you're doing it. Yeah, but you're
Yeah,
doing it
and
just
then
for
they're
play.
volunteering their extra time, their free time to continue to do the most stressful thing you could do.
It's
well, I
pilots
think it's
as well.
stressful when you have a real life when people could actually die, whereas it's probably not as stressful when it's a simulator, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
guess that's true, but don't you want to kind of escape from your own real world job?
maybe, but you got pilots playing this game too.
The
Yeah, I don't
the
know, air
escape
traffic
his real
controller.
world
They,
job for a
yeah,
real job.
but it's not just them too. Like you get just amateurs that already learned it pretty well, so they can be like manning one of the airports. But literally, it's like you can find it on YouTube. You can find the VATSIM videos on YouTube, and it's all just pilot speak. They vector
Can
you in
you
and everything. And if you were like gonna take part in it, you have to like not
You have
just
to know
download
it.
it, but you have to like kind of like read the rules, and you gotta like kind of like follow the rules, or they're just gonna kick you out of the fucking thing,
this
right?
is like hardcore RP.
It is hardcore RP, and
Yeah.
it's like it's intimidating actually. Like there'll be like streamers that try to get into it, and they're like, oh fuck, like they're like, oh shit, I have to learn this stuff or else.
Because you have to do it in a timely manner too, because you're literally moving on the plane.
Yeah, they're
There's
nice to
you can't
you,
just like
like
look. Yeah, but
they'll remind you, be like, oh yeah, you didn't give me your like heading vector or something, or whatever.
yeah, I'm sure they won't be like super hardcore like shaming you if you missed like one of the lingo terms. but it's just like you're still in the moving plane, and if you're like landing or starting to land, then you're kind of got a short amount of time to actually communicate.
No, man, you already call in the tower like fucking miles out, like 20, 30, 50 miles out or some shit like that. So you got time
What
going
if
in.
are you allowed to say Mayday, like, and then start crashing?
Yeah, but like if unless
Maybe if
you
you're actually
actually have
crashing.
yeah, unless you actually have like a mayday cause, or because they will just be like, yeah, don't be here anymore. If you're just gonna be a troll, you can't fucking be here
Oh
anymore. They'll
shit!
kick you out.
What if you put in like a terrorist simulator, or like Mayday, my plane's been confiscated, and then you fly into it.
It's a terrorist simulator. Too controversial. But you know what? A flight sim, Microsoft Flight Sim, they recently did the thing. There's a recent mod. I'm not sure if it's like it's not official, but you can purchase it at the on the online store. But
Sounds official if you could purchase it.
it's not made by Microsoft Flight Sim team. It's made by like a third party. But yeah, like you can buy it on the store, and it's not like an amateur modder, right? But now you can drive as well. You can load
Like
up.
you drive to your plane.
Yeah, no, you can just drive. You can load up the fucking globe, and you can put yourself in a jeep and drive instead of fly.
Holy crap! Wait,
Oh,
of the whole scale too? Like
Yeah,
you
of
could drive
course.
across America if you wanted.
Yes, you could.
Holy crap!
oh,
Yeah.
wouldn't that take days?
Yes, it would take days. It's the flight sim is already like if you play at normal time, it already does take the full time. If you don't do like the fast forward.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
I
you're
think you
flying
told me
from
about the guys that do the real flights between like
Yeah.
from LA to New
LA
York.
Yeah,
to
you do
Sydney.
the full fucking like 10, 12 hour flight. Yeah,
So you do the red eye kind of flight?
yeah, you can. You can. If you want to fly the Pacific, you can take the full time. So and
Damn.
I'm guessing with the driving, yeah, I don't. They just select models. I guess it's some kind of Jeep. Interior steering wheel, fucking like dashboard, everything. You can drive if you wanted to. But the one thing that will be that's kind of a downer is like the textures when you're right close to the ground is probably the weakest in Flight Simulator.
Yeah, of
So
course.
so yeah, if you're driving, you're basically there to witness the weakest part of the graphics of that game.
I wish they kind of did something similar with like Forza level
Yeah,
driving
that would
sim, you
be
know?
fucking cool. Like you take that concept, you can plop yourself anywhere in the world and just
Yeah.
drive to anywhere else
Yeah,
in the world.
exactly. With your choice of car and everything like that, and just like yeah, just drive.
They would
Incorporate it with like
probably
Google Maps or something.
You
Like
can probably do that, except it's just Flight Simulator is just built with the air in mind, right? But
yeah, exactly.
I can totally foresee either them or someone else do fucking driving simulator, and it's just that. And
That'd be so cool.
I feel like it would be easier on your computer too because the graphics load in Flight Sim is because it has to generate like detailed like at least above the ground detailed graphics miles out, right? So it's like a big area that you gotta generate. All the fucking tree leaves and all the shit you gotta generate. But on the ground in a car, I imagine that the load would be less because you just have to generate like detailed graphics probably in front of you, and it's not gonna be like tens of miles like from the air, but from ground level. I imagine it can be done at a high fidelity level, and
I'm
you
sure it
just
could.
have a whole world to traverse on.
Like even if you have like GTA level graphics, that'd be fine.
And the whole gist, the main gist is you take the flight simulator globe, like everywhere. You can go anywhere you want, and yeah, you plop a car there. I think that'll be pretty cool. They could even
Yeah,
fucking do
I'd love that.
boat simulator. I would do
Probably
it.
be a lot easier.
I would reenact the ship getting stuck in the Suez Canal.
It's kind of it loads up the one picture of it just being stuck there and you're good. That's all you can do.
They loaded that up in Flight Sim too. I believe it was like one of the mods.
Oh, so you could see it stuck.
Yeah, you can see the ship stuck there.
Gotta love the people that take the effort to do that kind of thing.
Serious.
pretty funny.
Flight Sim people are some of the most like fanatic but like dedicated people to this shit. Who wants to take your time like fucking like what 3 hours, 5 hours of the day just being an air traffic controller.
Yeah, gotta respect it to some level.
That would be funny if air traffic controller was playing that game
They
during
do.
work.
Oh, during
Like
work.
like he is an air traffic controller, and during work he's playing stuff like the VAT game.
If anybody ever wants to watch videos, you can see it on YouTube. Like people fucking post all that shit. Like
I'll
the
how's the
VAT sim.
streaming for it?
How's the streaming for it? Like people still stream for it, for sure.
Oh, okay. So it
Um,
must be entertaining, I suppose.
yeah, if you like that shit, you gotta like it. The graphics are really good too. I mean, like that's number one. Like you flying and the graphics around you, and it like the downside is you gotta have a good computer to run it as high as you can. But even I don't even think there's much computers that can run it on the highest setting right now,
Do you
and
think they're
it takes up a lot
collecting
of
data off
space.
you?
Uh,
Collecting data from you to train the AI to fly?
the train, the train to what to fly? The AI?
AI.
I don't know. Probably not because it's not like we
Oh,
have
Craig.
like pretty fucked up. You can have pretty fucked up plane routes. You plot your own route, right?
It looks like we lost
Oh,
Craig.
Craig's gone.
Bitch
Craig!
ass Craig.
It felt like our conversation detoured too much.
Yeah,
He's
fuck
like,
you,
I'm
Craig.
done with this.
Craig. Who the fuck does Craig think that he is? Oh well. Um, you guys got anything else?
Not so much. Nothing really that needs to be brought up.
I guess we could probably wrap this up. Whatever. Final topic. Whoever wants to bring it up.
Uh, I could talk about bike security.
Go for it. Go ahead.
All right. So, bike theft is a huge issue, right? I mentioned this, how in the biking community, especially in North America, um, bike theft uh, isn't something that police really care about. And one of the reasons is
What?
motor vehicles where they're registered.
Oh, dude,
Oh,
you
can you hear
just
me?
you just like cut out for a second. What'd you say?
Oh, oh, sorry. So bikes are not like cars where they're registered, and if someone steals your car, then police has an interest of returning that car to you.
Mm-hmm.
Bikes, they're treated more as property. So there was this guy, I think his name is Igor. He was infamous for selling hot bikes, where he would steal bikes and then sell them again.
Yeah.
And even though the police knew that he was doing it, they couldn't really prove that he had stole those bikes and selling them. So he's been this big, huge bike crime lord for quite a while before he got put into jail. But even then, he got out. So, anyways, there's not a big incentive for police to return your bike. So that's a huge issue. And in Vancouver, there was a police. Um, he had he was a cyclist, and he was curious about like what happens when the police catches someone and finds out that the bike is stolen. And what they found out is that they just get put in a warehouse for 90 days. So like there's no system in the police force to figure out who the bike belongs to. So if you ever get your bike stolen, the chance of you getting it back is very slim because there's like no good system for it to come back to you, right? So this officer in Vancouver decided to create a database. So he somehow partnered up with a guy from Xbox who used to make Xbox, and the reason he joined was he recently also had his bike stolen. So him and this police kind of created a system of creating a database that people from Vancouver could register their bikes, and then created like almost like a marketing campaign about the shield, and they call it that you would put on your bike, and then they made it known to the thieves, like the criminal network, that this is like protected and stuff like that. So, and it seemed to be effective that by showing that the thieves, if they try to steal one of these protected bikes, they're on watch and stuff, that they're less likely to sell it back because the bike shop will know about the shield and all the resellers. So then now the thieves will have to like look for bikes that don't have the shield, and by doing that, the theft or bike theft has decreased quite significantly in Vancouver.
So what is this shield that they just put on the bikes?
Yeah, that's what I was
It's just
gonna
a
ask too.
sticker. It's just a marketing sticker. That's all it is. It's
Yeah, so
basically
it's the same theory behind having home security versus just having the signs that say you have home security.
that's correct. Yeah, it's like having a home security. It's just marketing. If a thief sees like home security, they might be deterred from going to your house because they're like, oh shit,
Oh, but you said
like
the
they
guy
might have legit.
they wanted to build a database though.
Yeah, they did. So the way the system works is it's like a car registry. When you buy your bike, you would take a picture of your bike with you in it, and you would have a serial number that you would register and stuff like that. So then, if ever someone stole your bike, and if they find it, they can look it up the registry to return it to you.
You
That's
get a
how it.
the bike has a serial number on it.
Yeah, bikes
Yeah,
have
most
serial
do.
numbers.
But I
Oh,
thought for the most part you could register them at like the website for the brand of bike you have. Don't they usually do that nowadays?
Yeah,
Is
but
that
they're
for the same
not.
purpose?
But you need it to be part of the police, right? You
Yeah, that's
need it
true.
to be in a database the police can access. If it's a brand, that's only good for like bike shops. Like if a thief tries to sell it to a bike shop and they're trying to see, oh, is this stolen? Then they could check the brand. But you want it in a database that police can also access, right? Because they're the one retrieving these bikes too, or obtaining these bikes as well, right? When they're hit up a gang member and find a bunch of stolen items and properties, right? Um,
Why do they
so
need a picture of you with it?
I don't know. I don't know exactly what you need. I made that up, but I assume they would want a picture of you to know who it belongs to, right? Like you can't
Why
just.
not associate with like your license or something?
I mean, you don't need a license to have a bike because kids could have bikes.
That's true, but like still, you could have stolen the bike and just brought it in like, hey, can I register this? And then just take the picture of the bike.
Yeah,
Don't you need something
but
more
you would.
official than just the picture?
Oh,
I
I'm
would
just saying
assume some form of
you
ID or
would
something.
you would want to make sure you register your bike before someone stole and register your bike. Because once they register, then it would seem like they own it, not you.
Yeah, but a guy could just steal a bunch of bikes and just register them.
Right, but the bikes he
if they were
but if the bikes were
pre-registered,
already
it would
registered,
they would get the
Yeah,
hit.
that's
then
true.
yeah, then you wouldn't be able to register because it's serial number so much. Anyways, the story doesn't end here. So this police, now that he has proven this model working in Vancouver, right? He's shown that hey, we can decrease a lot of theft and save the state a lot of money, blah blah blah, right? He was trying to sell his idea to other cities in Canada, right? And what he found was that he would go to a city, sell his idea, the police force there would be super interested, and then it would just kind of get left in the wayside. And what he's discovered is bureaucracy. So what happens is when he goes to the government, like a city, say Winnipeg or whatever, tells them about this issue and tells them how they could solve it, then they're gonna ask like, where does this belong to? Does it belong to transportation? Does it belong to police? And when they discover, hello,
Yeah,
Keep
oh, okay,
going.
go ahead.
sorry. So when they figure out like when they ask like who does it belong to, and the police officers say, well, it does need a police presence. Then the issue is about budget, and then it becomes like each department doesn't want to put the effort into put what do you call pushing the system or making the system happen. So it becomes like, oh, we don't have the budget, or we don't want to be the one responsible, and then so that's why this type of project doesn't take wind in other cities. Um, so like there are cities that kind of take a small approach. They create like database and stuff, but database is not enough, right? Like the reason Vancouver worked well is also the marketing, because you want to sell that image to the thieves that these bikes are protected, right? So that they can't, they don't want to steal those certain bikes with the shield. So, anyways, long story short, being a bike owner, it has a lot of risk to it. Bike theft is very high, and it's like you're not protected like you are if you were a car owner. Like, because, as I mentioned before in our previous podcast, North America is a very car-driven country. Like, all our all our civil infrastructure is based around cars
Mm-hmm.
and not bikes. So that's why it makes sense that bike doesn't get the same protection. Bikes are basically the Palestinians, and cars are the Israelis.
It only works if the cars are actively just trying to destroy the bikes.
Well, they are. They like bike
That's true.
cyclists are
If you,
afraid, man.
if the car says, well, if the car's reason for destroying the bikes were just because it needs to protect itself against bikes, then yes, that the analogy holds.
Man, cars always rides up to bikes and just like if someone, or like let's say you're riding your bike and someone just opens a door in front of you. It's like those cars, man. They're actively hunting these cyclists down.
Cars are the Israelis.
Hey, I feel like they are, man. They have all the power, whereas bikes they don't. Like bikes have to beg for like bike lanes and like you know like they have to ask permission to drive on these cars like
What
roads,
the fuck?
right?
This analogy is actually making more sense the more you talk.
You know, in some cities they build bike paths that goes nowhere. So like that's it's like pushing you to certain state. Like in like there's a popular road and there's a full of cars
Mm-hmm.
and on this popular road there's a lot of shops, right? So like people who are on bikes would want to go to these shops, but they're discouraged to ride their bikes on these shops because the roads are filled with cars. So then they tell the bike people to move to ride on adjacent streets that are near the shops, but not really on the busy street with the shops. So it's like, again, treating them as second class citizens.
Holy shit.
I mean, well, just from my point of view, for what I use my bike for, again, it's just recreational, like exercise, not quite to get to destinations itself. So I would still probably take that path as long as it's like scenic, even if it goes nowhere.
Yeah, I think that's the issue. Is the North Americans we view bikes as sport and recreational. Like that's why you only see bikes. The ones that are getting sold are generally road bikes, mountain bikes. Very little bikes are generally the commuter type bikes, designed for comfort, designed for like um to just get you to places, to be low maintenance. Like in European, like say Copenhagen, like the Netherlands, most of the cyclists there are they use bikes as a mode of transportation. So, and it's a very different culture, right? Because in Copenhagen, bike helmets isn't a law. Most people don't wear bike helmets, and the biggest reason is because people aren't going that fast. So there's really no reason. Not that there's no reason, but it's not as a necessity as say in North America, where people are, because they're more sporty, they're riding really fast. So bike helmets are more encouraged in that kind of aspect. But if you were riding slower, then you would need helmets, right?
Yeah.
I think
Copenhagen's
helmets
in
here, it's
Denmark,
only
by the way.
required if you're like below 18, right?
Yeah, in certain provinces in Canada, yeah, you only once you're past 18, you're not required by law to wear a helmet.
There you go, folks. Uh, some bike stuff to end it all and somehow tie it all into Israel and Palestine.
Impressive, isn't it?
I'm very impressed, surprised, and confused, but all in one. It's It's a delightful twist that you put that linked it all together.
Yeah, being a bike owner is not easy. It's scary.
What do
You have
I
cars
just randomly bought a bike one day. That was my whole story to getting a bike.
you should register your bike if you can.
register? You know how much money do you have to pay to register it?
Zero. It's generally free.
Jesus, even it's wow. Okay, yeah, it's a
No, I
no-brainer
don't
then.
really leave my bike anywhere, so
Still register it.
yeah.
I mean, they can still come into your house and steal it. It's not like just because
That
your
would be
bike,
the
like,
least of my worries if someone broke into my house and stole my stuff.
Yes,
oh, okay.
he would be
There's a
more
lot more valuable stuff than my bike.
like his asshole.
Yeah, for one,
my,
yes. Like, I
my
wouldn't
virginity.
dispute that.
I've been saving this for years.
saving the asshole for the perfect.
I was waiting till I got married.
I wanted someone special. I didn't want you.
Pulverize his ass.
Yeah, so that, for example, would be one thing I would be more concerned about than my bike if someone broke in.
Just take my bike. I didn't register it. It's good. I won't look for you. That is actually a scary thought, though, to buy bikes second-handed because there's a high chance you're buying a stolen bike.
That's the scary thought. I thought you were gonna be like someone breaks in to fucking rape you. Was a scary thought.
Yeah, that is a scary thought.
But no,
Not a thought
secondhand
I
bikes. Secondhand bikes is what keeps you up at night. Uh, okay.
Other side of the coin.
Yes, I hope no one who has actually gone through traumatic, like traumatic instances like that, listen to this. If you do, all of this is parody because Jason getting his asshole destroyed is funny. Everybody else's terrible experiences are not funny. Disclaimer made.
Yes, as a
I would love.
comedic podcast, this was all just for play. Nothing serious to take out of this.
Except, if God forbid, if you have a secondhand bike.
Next time.
All right, I guess that about does it for this episode.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. All right, thanks for listening to this episode of Verbal Laxative. Like, comment, and subscribe, and tune in next time when we talk about more stuff.
Yes, look forward to that.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.